tell you, I have to get the stream deck sorted out. Is that right? Aye. Well, hello and welcome into this Tuesday's entertainment news. I'm Jonathan C. Walsh, as Stephen likes to christen me, and that is my name, so he's not wrong technically. Here to discuss all of the latest happenings in the world of entertainment and realistically movie-dominated news on the show, because two men, I'll give him his due, Peter Safran as well as James Gunn over at Warner Brothers DC have dropped some momentous news about the future of the DCU, as they are calling it. Gods and Monsters Part 1. They've released an entire new slate for the next 8 to 10 years. He's saying this is just the first part of said slate. 10 projects shared via a video on Twitter. And I'm going to bring it up. James Gunn himself has been out speaking. I watched the video. He's a very eloquent man. He can speak. And my, he looks good for his age. No one sports a white beard and white hair better than this man. And one thing struck me, not just about the actual projects he announced, before we even get into that, the thing that struck me about James is, fucking hell, he has some strong prescriptions in those glasses, because my lord, it's like a man within a man there. He has an almighty prescription in those glasses, so that was just something that struck me. He looks good, momentous hair, momentous white beard, very strong glasses, and some big news. The man has dropped 10 projects for the fans of the DC, but not for the fans of the Snyderverse, because they will almost certainly be boycotting every single one of these films because they hate James. They want James to be sacked. It's not going to happen though. As you can see here, coming in from Holly, the Hollywood Reporter, there is a prefix there. They have earned it. I will give it to them. The DC Studios bosses shared 10 projects, talked the exit of Henry Cavill, and addressed the potential future of Ezra Miller. That's another topic I'm going to get into. I'll get into that in probably the next 5 to 10 minutes as well. How in the fuck? We'll get into that. As The Flash, as they introduced a slate of big heroes and lesser known characters, the stakes are massive for us and for Warner Brothers Discovery, says Safran. I'm just going to go through them bit by bit. He has just dropped an avalanche of news, an avalanche of content that is coming over the next 3 or 4 years, I do believe. We are going to get a Batman movie and a Superman movie in the same year. One is not part of the DCU, it is part of Matt Reeves' very separate Batman universe. But we are getting a Batman movie and a Superman movie in the same calendar year. And I can't tell you how excited I am for that. James Gunn's penning that Superman movie. He's taking a real creative lead in a lot of these projects, and that excites me as well. That guy is a superb filmmaker and an equally brilliant writer. He delivers the laughs, he delivers momentous usage of music in film, but he also delivers some really heartfelt and human stories. And what he can do with a Superman story excites me tremendously, but what he's doing with this universe also excites me tremendously. There is some really intelligent rationale behind what he's doing here with these projects. It mimics what they did with the MCU 15 years ago with Iron Man, with lesser names marinating in a nice melting pot with bigger names. Derpy Entertainment says he did it, let him cook. I don't know what that means. Derpy, can you provide some context about that? I know some people hate James. I don't. I love James Gunn. So we can disagree in an amicable way, if that's what you're actually saying. Provide context though, do please, because I'm slightly confused. Let him cook. That's almost like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween Ends or Kills, whatever one it is. Let him burn. Well, they didn't let him burn and he get out. And yeah, I've not seen that fucking movie. I just couldn't bring myself to watch it. The first one was average, the middle one was shite, and I couldn't finish the trilogy. I may at some point, but not just now. That's for another day though. As you can see, loads of content dropping, projects being announced. They're starting with Creature Commandos, which is an animated sort of ensemble. Yeah, TV show. It's a 7-episode animated series. This is not really what strikes me, this announcement in and of itself. I can take or leave animated content, depending on word of mouth. I may or may not watch this. I probably will watch it. For the reasons in the second paragraph of this little synopsis excerpt. The voice actors have yet to be cast, but the executives are looking to find people who can voice the animated characters and also portray the live action versions when the anti-heroes show up in movies and series. James Gunn went one step further. He says that not just with this animated series, but they are looking to cast for all roles with the potential for them to come back and forth between animated and live action. So he's leaving it open-ended. They can go between different mediums in this new universe. And that again, that's almost like what Marvel have done with the What If show, where you've got the likes of Chadwick Boseman being used posthumously. In that story, you've got the likes of different variants of characters, different history. What would happen if this took place and that took place? So it's kind of a similar concept they're doing there, but they're kickstarting it with this. And the first thing that struck me looking at the image was it looks like a potential DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy. Strange bedfellows. They look like they're almost multiverse, into the Spider-Verse I should say, esque with all the different techniques and drawings. They don't look as though they belong in the one TV show. But you look at it, look at this little guy down here with the bulging eyes. He's almost like Weasel meets a fucking hyena. They just look like this sort of ensemble group. That's the same word. That's two adjectives meaning the same thing. My brain's slightly broke there, but we're getting back on a level keel, so it's alright. An even keel. It's almost like the ensemble project that a James Gunn would get his teeth into and make work, make magic happen with it. You can imagine the music, you can imagine the writing, you can imagine the stories. It will be rich, it will be deep, there will be meaning behind it, there will be laughs aplenty. I'm looking forward to this. It excites me. Just to see different characters who I admittedly know nothing about. I know nothing about any of these. So that's a good start, for me at least. And just the fact that they are going to jump between live action and actual animated for all characters potentially in this universe. That's a really interesting concept. War, as you can see here, it's a sort of spin-off of Peacemaker. I've not seen Peacemaker yet. I've heard it's very good. That may be something we'll have to think of doing a watch along to, if we can get my hands on it. It's difficult with HBO Max. HBO Max is much more readily available stateside than here. It's accessible through Sky. I do have Sky, but the sort of legality of capturing stuff from Sky, I would imagine, is ambiguous at best and damn right libelous at worst. Rupert Murdoch is not a man to be trifled with. He's a bespectacled little fud, but he's not a man to be trifled with. So I don't know if we could do a watch along to that. We may just have to watch it at some point, just to understand what's happening with War. But it's a spin-off. It's Viola Davis. She's coming back again. She's appeared in numerous projects within the DCEU. And there's some continuity in these announcements as well, which is intriguing to me too. That we have got familiar faces making the transition over. Presumably Team Peacemaker, I think they say here. John Cena's going to make the transition over to Gunn's new universe. There's going to be a soft resetting, if you'd like, with the Flash movie when it drops, which he's been speaking about, and I will get into when I discuss Ezra Miller after this. Superman Legacy, he says in his own words, James Gunn, this is the sort of beginning, the true beginning of his universe. What comes before is a sort of introductory phase where we get and meet some lesser names, but this is the true beginning, the new Superman movie. And what he says about this was, it filled me with excitement. Obviously the casting is going to be key here. I don't believe this is the black Superman that's been touted. I think that was J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot company that was dealing with that. I don't know if that's still happening. That may not be happening now that James Gunn's took over and put his stamp on things. But Superman Legacy, it's an all-new Superman, as you can see here, the movie featuring the Man of Steel that Gunn is writing and may direct. The fact he's writing it excites me. I do love the guy's writing. I love what he brings. For what I says, the aforementioned reasons, about 2-3 minutes ago. I think he's a great writer, an equally great filmmaker. I'm excited to see what he does with Superman, one of my favourite characters, who the ball has been dropped with for the last decade with Henry Cavill's iteration. Want to see them kick on with this character and deliver at least a decade's worth of storytelling. He's a huge momentous figure over at DC, and he should have great potential in terms of box office, great potential in terms of storytelling, great potential in terms of big ensemble superhero versus evil movies over at DCU in the future. I'm really looking forward to seeing who they cast. I don't know who the fuck they are going to cast. That's not my decision. It's way above my pay grade. But as you can see here, it's not an origin story. Safran said. I didn't actually see Safran's comments. I only seen James Gunn's video, so I don't know what Peter Safran's been saying. But I'm going to read it here. It's not an origin story. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. That seems to be what every Superman movie in the history of Superman has done. He discovers, well, he obviously knows he's an alien, he's different to the humans, but he balances the sort of the love for Earth and his human sort of adoptive nature with the Kryptonian side, his true self. That's something that's been synonymous with Superman for as long as I've been aware of him. So it's not anything really that revolutionary or new being done there. A strange comment from Safran, but we'll get into the rest of his comments. Maybe he'll add context. He is the embodiment of truth and justice and the American way. He is kindness in a world that thinks that kindness is old-fashioned. I like that though. I did like that remark, because it's very, very true. This world these days does look at kindness as being, antiquated, out of date. You need to be cutthroat. You need to be getting your point of view across within 10 seconds. You need to be wearing Gucci. You need to be wearing Versace. You need to be wearing Saint Laurent, Givenchy, in a TikTok video, in a huge house with a bunch of other little self-obsessed 16-year-olds. That's the modern world. So something that's getting dabbled with like that in terms of thematics in a Superman movie is something that intrigues me. Again, the casting is going to be key with this, but I trust this guy. This is a guy that decided to use Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel as a talking tree and a talking raccoon, and he made it work. This is a guy that stuck by Chris Pratt through all the obnoxious bullshit calls to get him removed as Peter Quill. By all accounts, a thoroughly decent guy, just because he is politically different to the core demographics that watch a Marvel movie. I presume they want him cancelled. He stuck by him. It was the right decision. This guy will get the casting right. Not that it's going to be his choice entirely. It's going to be a casting director liaising with him. It's going to make that happen. Lanterns as well. This is another one that excites me. A Lanterns TV show. The fact it's focusing on two very distinct Lanterns. I put them on the actual thumbnail. Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. It's going to focus on the power rings and this fucking borderline universe within a universe, really. This has always been an IP within the DC side of things that I think has been completely underutilised. Stephen has watched the animated movies, and by all accounts they've done a great job with the Green Lanterns, if I can speak, in that medium of sort of filmmaking. Not so much in live action. We had the Ryan Reynolds one, it was a flippity-floppity flop. I want to see a definitive story getting told by the Lanterns. And the fact that he goes as far as to say that this vision is very much in the vein of True Detective, it's terrestrial based. But I think he also goes on to say that this is going to be, there you go, it plays a really big role in leading into the main story we are telling across film and TV. He's making the Lanterns front and centre of this universe, so that excites me. Much like Fantastic Four and Marvel's side of things, we need a definitive story with these guys. We need to see them doing something special with that IP. I keep saying IP, it's a video game reference with that sort of sub-franchise over at DC. To me, man, look, you get through this, you can get through every single one of them. This one excites me as well. Paradise Lost, it's a fucking Game of Thrones style thing taking place in Themyscira. There's going to be political intrigue, backstabbing, murders. Just a game of chess. That excites me. That environment's perfect for that. That's such an interesting, different little concept that's came out of his mind And the fact it's on HBO Max, something that's usually associated with excellence when it comes to TV, I'm excited about the potential for that. But really, what is striking me here is what he's come out and says regarding the creative processing. They're not working with a sort of individual filmmakers and creators. They have gathered together a creative team, and they are working to make one sort of amalgamous, is that even a fucking word? I don't know. Sort of one universe where everything has to work on an individual level. It has to have individual excellence, but also the sort of tentacles, the roots sprout out to create one cohesive universe, one cohesive story. Everything is going to make sense. This is what you need at DC. DC have produced some brilliant movies over the last 20, 30 years, but they've been individual. If you are dead set in creating a universe, you need to have consistency behind the camera, consistency of lore, consistency of world building. This is what they've done at Marvel with Kevin Feige, with his creative team. It's why that universe has been so successful. I think James Gunn's going to do the same thing over at DC. I really do. This vision that is playing out, this is just the first part of the first part. It excites me tremendously, man, to see what they're going to do over the next 10 years with this studio, with this iconic sort of collection of stories, graphic novel stories. The Authority as well is another one, completely different to anything we've probably seen before. Again, I like the Few Good Men reference, Jack Nicholson. Men you would want on the wall. The sort of last resort, the sort of last guard between you and the enemy. Guys that will do what's necessary, even if it means murder. If they think it's right in their mind for the greater good, they will do it. This is what these characters are representing. Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. Love that. Love the ideology behind it. The Batman sequel, obviously Pattinson's going to get his sequel. It's coming out the same year as the Superman movie. And I says at the start, a Batman and Superman movie in the same year. This is like fucking Christmas Day to me. For an entire year. Someone that's been calling for Henry Cavill to get another shot as Superman. Just to see that sort of culmination of storytelling and world building maybe happen. Obviously, Reeves' Batman's not going to share the same universe, but to see this sort of almost like a celebration of DC in 2025 is going to be an exciting time. We're getting a Supergirl movie, I believe. Another Supergirl movie's coming out. Women of Tomorrow. It's going to be a different take on it. And the Batman one as well. The Batman movie. Where is it? The Brave and the Bold. This is an all new Batman. Recast. I love what they're doing with the Joker. Not Joker, the Robin character. Totally different character. I love what he says they're doing with that. It's Damian Wayne, the son, sort of estranged son of Bruce, a son he didn't realise he had. He's referred to as being a little son of a bitch. He was brought up by assassins. That's almost like fucking Nolan's Batman Begins, Bruce Wayne. But he's younger and he becomes Robin. And he's a thorn in the side of Bruce. That's such an interesting concept. It's different storytelling, it's different creative processing like that. It's going to make these characters pop. It's going to make this world enriched. This is what Matt Reeves is doing with Pattinson's Batman. It's an almost emo goth Batman. More detective centric. More cerebral in its concept, its construct. I like to see James Gunn doing something different here, introducing a different character, a father and son story with Batman. Never seen it done before. Not in my knowledge anyway. So all in all, really fucking exciting times. This slate he's introduced, it's a real mismatch, a melting pot of different mediums, different stories, weird and wondrous characters of different notoriety. You've got Supergirl, Batman, Superman, two different Batman characters. You've got Viola Davis coming back. You've got Ant-Man, still a firm fixture in this universe. You've got The Flash being described as one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. You've got this mismatch of different processing. The fact that he also went out his way to say that he wants to level up lesser known characters. He wants to use sort of diamond characters in your Batman, in your Superman, your Wonder Womans if you like. I don't know if he's using Wonder Woman. I wouldn't. No harm to Gal Gadot or Patty Jenkins. I'd wave goodbye to them. But the fact he's going to use these iconic characters to introduce lesser known characters and make them iconic for a new time, for a new generation. That sounds to me, once again, like what Feige and the Marvel team, creative team, did with the likes of Ant-Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't know, Hawkeye. Lesser known characters became almost iconic in this universe. Strong presence, a strong presence in the MCU. He's going to do the same over at DC. I'm really excited for it, man. I didn't expect the news to come out. I knew he said something about February 1st, but this is the 31st of January. It's not February 1st, James, so you're fucking early, mate. And as someone that's usually late, that doesn't suit me, bitch. But it's came, and it's actually timed perfectly because I've got a solo show to speak about something. And yeah, really exciting times, man. I know there'll be people out there not excited, who don't like James Gunn, who are not happy with the fact that he's taking creative control of DC and ditch some of the Snyder stuff. But you need to have a clean break. In the end, it is a failed universe. It's not commercially successful. The studio doesn't get on with Zack Snyder. They don't like the toxicity that is associated with some fans on social media following Zack Snyder. So they had to make the cut at some point. I like Zack. I liked his movies. I'm a huge fan of Man of Steel. I don't mind Dawn of Justice, the director's cut. I liked his. Blanking on the name. Why am I blanking on the name? Justice League. I liked the first Wonder Woman movie. I enjoyed James Wan's Aquaman. I liked his universe. But you have to be realistic. You have to cut ties. It's a new era. New cast in the main. Young, vibrant actors. Taking us off into perhaps a golden era for DC, man. Because it's deserved DC. Well, I've got the Shield behind me. But I fucking love DC as well. I actually love DC more than I love Marvel, probably. Overall. I grew up with the Batman. I grew up with Superman. I grew up with Joker. That was my sort of introduction to comic book heroes movies, if you like. First Marvel movie I seen was Superman. Spider-Man. And that was what, 2000? 2001? I don't know when it came out. And then Spider-Man 2. The Raimi trilogy was my first Marvel movie that I seen. Marvel sort of inspired movie, because it isn't actually Marvel, it's Sony. What is Marvel? Talking shite. But yeah, next topic. I'm going to move on to this. It's about Ezra Miller. I've asked the question, can Ezra Miller make an unexpected return as the Flash? And the reason I'm asking this is quite simply because James Gunn has also been out speaking. I don't know what I did there. Look at that. Can I make myself disappear if I go to a certain angle? I don't think I can. James Gunn's been out speaking about The Flash. He's called it one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Now, I'd normally associate this with sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? There's a word for it, a term. I can't think of it just now. Just political bollocks, if you'd like. Just sort of, what the fuck's it called? Why am I blanking on that phrase? It's doing my nappering, if you'd like. I can't remember, it doesn't matter. But you'd associate it with pandering because of how maybe Ezra Miller associates himself with the world, how he identifies himself, if you like, and the whole sort of minefield that is traversing that question, traversing that sort of argument, that situation. You could say what he's describing it as the greatest superhero movie, one of the greatest superhero movies ever. Is he just blowing smoke up his ass, as Stephen was saying a lot last night? If it was anyone other than James Gunn, I would probably suggest that. But James, I think's an honest man. I think he's very straight to the point with his words, much like me, 9 times out of 10, if not 10. And if he says it's one of the greatest superhero movies ever made and he's willing to stick by Ezra Miller through thick and thin, which we'll get into, he may not. It may just be politics being borne out for legal reasons. Then I tend to agree with him if he's saying it, because he doesn't usually chat shit. But as you can see here, this is coming from Variety. It is Variety. After a tumultuous year that involved a series of arrests and public meltdowns, the Flash star Ezra Miller appeared to be a case of one and done in the DC universe. But newly installed DC co-head Peter Safran said the door is open for further collaborations with Miller after the Flash standalone opens on June 16th. I've got to be honest with you. Me and Stephen discussed this previously. I never thought this movie would see the light of day. I didn't even think it'd get into the theatres. I had real concerns that Michael Keaton's Batman return would never happen. He appeared in multiple projects. One got cancelled, and this one featured a lead who was losing his mind before our very eyes. He was talking about being a multiversal creature. You couldn't catch him. Then he was getting caught in his home state, breaking into a mansion and drinking alcohol. He was getting restraining orders, getting accused of grooming, violence, all sorts of shit. One of those things would usually be enough to have someone cancelled, and indeed fired by Warner Brothers, who have got previous for firing actors who they disagree with or think are toxic in terms of PR. But it seems like Ezra is a special case. He is a brilliant actor, there's no doubt in my mind he's a brilliant actor. I really enjoyed what he did with Credence Barebones. What is it? That's what he's called. In the Fantastic Beasts movie. And I respect someone who turns up to Comic-Con dressed as a fucking Miss Toad. So you've got to respect the ballsiness of a man. You can't respect some of the things he's done over the last year. But as we'll get into in his defence, the pandemic did rub some people up the wrong way. Some of the more extroverted individuals simply couldn't take the isolation, the sort of restrictions placed on them. And I'm sure a lot of people were in the abyss during the last 2-3 years. I'm absolutely certain of it. And Ezra seems to be certainly one of the victims of isolation in the pandemic. Although he was in pubs drinking and shit like that in Hawaii, so he wasn't really isolated. But look, I'm trying to make excuses for him because I quite like Ezra. And I'm willing him to succeed. But this is what Peter Safran had to say. Ezra is completely committed to their recovery. And of course he is non-binary, so he, I think, identifies as they there. And I'm saying he. I'm going to try and do that, but it's fucking difficult because I don't really associate myself with that sort of stuff. The pronouns, I'm just very much a fucking you, me, them, he, she type of person. It's fucking a weird road for me to traverse and difficult not to put your foot in it like I just did there, despite trying. But we'll try and do it. They're on the right. They're on right now. What is this journey that they're on right now? There we go. Don't ever read a sentence halfway through. That is a recipe for disaster, let me tell you. When the time is right, when they feel like they're ready to have the discussion, we all figure out what the best path forward is. But right now, they are completely focused on their recovery. And in our conversations with them over the last couple of months, it feels like they are making enormous progress. Oh, I'm delighted to see that Ezra is making progress. First and foremost, you don't want to see anyone going through mental sort of torment, having a bit of an episode, manic episode. Maybe he's got manic depression or bipolar or something like that. I'm not a psychologist. They've got a manic episode bipolar. I'm not a psychologist. I'm going to try and get into that, doing it right, because that's how the guy identifies, and ultimately you've got to respect people and their wishes. Glad to see that they have got over it. Potentially are in the process of getting over it. And as I said before, fantastic actor, undeniably so. Want to see them making a return to the silver screen, and making a return to the role of Barry Allen, because I always want to say Barry Bannon when I say that, because ultimately you want people to succeed. You don't want people to crash and burn. There's this sort of thing, certainly in the United Kingdom at least, where you build people up and then you have to tear them down piece by piece. And that's not something I've ever really been on board for. I like to see people succeed, talented people succeed, no less. And if what they're saying here about the movie is indeed true, that it's one of the greatest comic book movies, superhero movies ever made, then that's down to their creative processing, whoever was involved in the movie. Initially, I do believe it was 2 directors. They fell out with Ezra. Ezra then gave an ultimatum. I think he had a month, 2 months to come up with a script, and then obviously make that script a reality, to keep his sort of role as the Flash, their role as the Flash. I'm fucking making an arse of this. I really can't. I'm terrible at it. And they obviously succeeded. We got this movie greenlit. Michael Keaton came back. Ben Affleck came back. Lots of exciting news about multiple versions of Barry in this movie. And I was pumped for the movie. I was super depressed to see that they had also went off a fucking cliff and were doing all this crazy shit. I even says at one point I'd love to go out and a drink, and they seemed like the type of person you'd have a good night out with. Then it became apparent that there was some serious allegations being made, and I took a step back from those comments. But if it's indeed one of the greatest superhero movies ever made, then you want to see Ezra having the opportunity to build upon that as a foundation, get their shit together, come back, become a successful actor once again, become a fully sort of normalised individual in society, and just build upon this great DCU that obviously fucking James Gunn has created. So to answer the question, can Ezra Miller make an unexpected return as a Flash? I don't think it's unexpected now, because Peter Safran and James Gunn have come out and spoke glowingly of Ezra, spoke even more glowingly of the movie that Ezra has brainchilded and who is a lead of. So I think it's more likely now that if they continue on in their sort of recovery, hopefully with close confidence in their mother still by their side, and hopefully they can indeed return as the Flash. Hopefully they can indeed return as an actor, a successful actor no less. Because look man, those in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones at other individuals. We've all got our demons, we've all had our sort of lulls and euphoric highs in life. That's what life's all about. It's a roller coaster, as Ronan Keating once sang. So yeah, I can't remember the saying. Let those not in glass houses throw the first stone, something like that. I don't fucking know. I hope they can return. That's what I'm saying. And I hope the movie is one of the greatest of all time, because I want to fucking see it. And I want Michael Keaton to be back in a successful Batman movie again. But moving on to the next topic. This one's going to be a little bit shorter. I'm not going to be dancing around sort of pronoun minefields. Again, very simple guy, me. Scotland's a very simple place. It's quite a backwards place at times, sadly. And whilst I would love to frequent in certain circles at times, it's not something that I really encounter in a day-to-day life. So you must appreciate the effort I've put in trying to dance around the whole pronouns thing, because it's not something I'm used to doing. Willem Dafoe though, joining Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. I haven't said a remake because I actually backstepped from that. I put remake in this graphic initially, and then I realised that look, Robert Eggers doesn't really do remakes. He's not really a remake kind of guy. He's very much a fresh thinker. He will come at this from a different angle and recreate the entire fucking Nosferatu story from the ground up. Nosferatu will be there, but it will be an Eggers story that Nosferatu is living in. You're in my world now, Grandma. That is what Robert Eggers is saying to Nosferatu. You're in my world now, you little weird baldy bitch. And you go and live in my world. That's what he's doing. He's cast Willem Dafoe. I vaguely knew about this. I think we spoke about this before. That Eggers was doing a Nosferatu movie. I think we discussed potential castings, but nothing was greenlit or fully cemented at that point. I now come to this news put by James White again. I always seem to read James White articles at Empire. Thank you, James. Once again, I'm plagiarising your work, mate. You are making my show for me. Thank you very much. I come and I read this, and I discover that not only is Willem Dafoe joining the movie, but Bill Skarsgård's in there, Lily Rose Depp's in there, and Nicholas Hoult already firmly a part of this Nosferatu movie. Willem Dafoe, if you were to ask me who could possibly play Nosferatu, I'd have said Willem Dafoe. But it seems like Bill Skarsgård's already sort of, get the jump on him, and he's going to be portraying it. That is Willem Dafoe a more emotive, I was doing Liam Payne there, after the slap that was heard around the world, Will Smith. Anyone that's not seen that interview, search up Liam Payne, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Chris Rock. Some of the weirdest 5 to 8 minutes you will see or hear in your existence, but needless to say, it's well worth it, because Liam goes through about 3-4 different accents in the course of 5 to 10 minutes. Seems like he is gouching, I think that's the word, when you're on amphetamines, pills, and your jaw's doing a dance. I don't know if he was, he may have been on cocaine, I don't know what he was on, he may have been on nothing. This is all alleged, but he was certainly on something. And Imoutra, he kept calling Will Smith the world's greatest Imoutra. He sounded like fucking a Welshman. And Tom Jones, I'm not entirely sure why, because he's from Wales, I believe. Wolverhampton. Wales is the football team, Wolverhampton's the city. Do better, John. It was really weird. I said emoter. Is Bill Skarsgård a better emoter than Willem Dafoe? I would suggest not. I think Willem Dafoe has got a very emotive face. What that guy can do with his face can be terrifying. My personal preference would have been Willem Dafoe playing Nosferatu, but look, Bill Skarsgård's a fantastic actor. Great range, can do everything. Can play an alcoholic, can play a killer clown. Can do everything. So super excited to see Bill Skarsgård once again in a movie. A horror movie, no less. I have to prefix or sort of state before I go into any further discussion about this, I have not seen the original Nosferatu. It was many, many years before my time. I want to say at least 70 years before my time. It's like a 1920s silent movie. It's creepy as fuck. I've seen the images. It's weird. It was from that era where it was prosthetic heavy and some crazy, crazy imagery conjured up by these filmmakers and indeed the makeup teams from like 100 years ago. Weird, weird time. Almost worse than what we get now with the CG and stuff like that. It was fucking the jerkiness of the movements, the silent movie, the prosthetics. Weird. I've seen the images. I've seen GIFs of Nosferatu. Not seen the actual movie though. So this would be almost like what Pet Sematary was for me with Jason Clarke, I believe it is. I had not seen the original 1989-88 Pet Sematary movie. I went in with sort of open ears and eyes for the remake. I enjoyed the remake. People who seen the original fucking hated it. This is what this is going to be for me. Not seen the classic Nosferatu, going to watch Robert Eggers. That will be my first introduction to the character. And I have to say, Robert Eggers, man, fucking tremendous director, really. I think I've seen every movie this guy has done. I'm not entirely sure I have. I'm going to search it up right now and make sure I have seen every movie that Robert Eggers has done. He's a very young man, incidentally. He's only 39 years of age. And it's remarkable what this guy has produced over a very short career. I'm not interested in production designer. I'm interested in directors. I've not seen them all, because he has 6 movies in the can. 3 of them are short stories though. Hansel and Gretel, that just seems like the perfect match for me for Robert Eggers. I don't know why. There was a Hansel and Gretel movie came out, and he would be perfect doing that. I want to see him remake that story. Classic German kids' tale. It's the fucking most German thing I can imagine. Reading your kids a horror story. No one else does that, but Germany does it, and that's probably why they are just up there in terms of economics and all the rest of it as a powerhouse, even after 2 world wars where they lost consecutively. Of course they did. There's only been 2, and they lost the 2 of them. What a stupid thing to say, John. I digress. Mostly shots of his feature-length movies, I've seen them all. The Witch, loved it. Anya Taylor-Joy. Your man that played the mustachioed arsewipe from The Office. Going to search him up just now, going to look. Ralph Ineson, Kate Dickie of Game of Thrones fame. Brilliant cast, a small cast, claustrophobic as hell, New England, Salem Witch Trials era. Brilliant horror story, suffocating, period piece. Cinematography was wondrous. Directing was wondrous. It was a weird movie, but it was a brilliant movie. It was a Marmite movie. I loved it. I love Robert Eggers. The same can be said for The Lighthouse. A Marmite movie. Me and Stephen watched it. We were howling. We were horrified in equal measures. Loved it. Willem Dafoe was in that. So was Robert Pattinson. There was a girl in it. It gets neck snapped. It was black and white. It was a fucking great movie. The Northman, one of my favourite movies from last year. Willem Dafoe's in there again. You see the sort of the connection starting to happen here. He likes to work with Willem Dafoe, and you know why he likes to work with Willem Dafoe? Because not only is he an outstanding actor, but he's a selfless actor. He's not so up himself, so hubristic, so full of his sort of own brilliance, that he will refuse to take a sidestep for another leading actor like a Bill Skarsgård or a Nicholas Hoult. He's quite happy to come in and play a great character role and work his magic off to the side of the main sort of shenanigans. That's why he works with him. In The Northman, he was playing a sort of I say he was like a witch doctor, a Norse witch doctor. It's a weird character, but again, what he was doing with his face, the camera work, that movie. Bill Skarsgård was in that movie as well, I'm sure. Was he? Alexander Skarsgård was in that movie. Another Skarsgård. That was fucking great. That was a great movie as well. Where am I going here? I love Robert Eggers. I've watched all of his feature-length movies. I've loved every one. They're all different, but they all have similar vibes going on. They have his artistic style, which just seems to resonate with me for some reason. And I have no doubt in my mind that this Nosferatu movie will resonate with me, because it's not the actual story. It's not who he gets in to play these characters, although that's also a huge part. A movie, as brilliant as you are as a director, Robert, you can only really work with what you've got in front of the camera, and if they're shit, the movie's going to be shit, mate. You can't put Tommy Wiseau in Nosferatu, your take on it, and think it's going to succeed. It just ain't. You can't put fucking... I'm trying to think of another poor actor here. Who's that guy that came out and criticised the MCU recently? Scarlett Johansson. Stephen Dorff. You can't put Stephen Dorff in a Nosferatu drama horror movie and think it's going to succeed. It's going to fail. You need great actors. Willem Dafoe, Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, brilliant actors. So, well, it's going to resonate with me, man. I love the guy's style. I just love his movies. It's an iconic horror character, widely accepted as being one of the most horrifying and scary horror stories put to film. So, super excited to see what this guy does with it. Super excited to see his take on it. Super excited to see what role Willem Dafoe takes. Cannot wait for the first trailer to come out. Is it going to be black and white again? I feel like it should be, because it just works with Robert. He knows how to deliver that authentic period goodiness, man. If it isn't in the actual setting and the sort of tricks he's doing behind the camera with his cinematographer, it's with literal aspect ratios and film in black and white. So, really excited for this movie. Hope it's came across. I feel like I've been very excitable. I've been very jumpy. I love Robert Eggers. Looking forward to it. Moving on though. Why did I put this in? We've got a music section now. It's entertainment news. You need to put a music section in. This is 2.5 months out of date, this news. These dropped the nominations in mid-November. But the actual Grammys themselves are about to happen on Sunday coming, 5th of February. And you know what? I've admitted many times that I love music, man. I love all kinds of music. I will go and see Andre Rieu and his Johann Strauss Orchestra. I'll listen to fucking Eminem. I'll listen to Tupac. I'll listen to the Beatles. I'll listen to the Kinks. I'll listen to Ariana Grande. I'll dabble with everything. I like Easy Life, a new band from Leicester. Relatively new. Brilliant little band that do some superb music. Kind of mingles rap with Murray Matravers, I think, or Matravers, or whatever his name is. Sort of mixes rap with just really dense, thick, sort of electronic sounds. Brilliant little band, really enjoy what they do. Point being, I like all kinds of music. So I just thought, you know what, Grammys is coming out. We usually speak about some music. I'll go through in the top categories at least, because there's about fucking 90 categories here. And I'm not going to go through them all, but the top categories, I'll just give a brief little prediction. What I thought. And that kind of ticks off the music box for today's show. And the record of the year, look, I didn't even know ABBA had released a new album. I didn't know they had a new song out. How the fuck did that happen? How old are they? These guys should be in their 70s now. Are they still dancing about singing? I think it speaks more about me, probably what I listen to in terms of radio. I tend to listen to Radio 1 when I'm out and about, which does play a lot of more modern stuff. I don't think I'm listening to the right radio stations to hear an ABBA song getting released. So I don't know anything about Don't Shut Me Down. Never a big ABBA fan anyway, so I don't really want to know anything about Don't Shut Me Down. Needless to say, Don't Shut Me Down is not going to win Record of the Year at the Grammys. Easy on Me could win because it's Adele and she's a sort of event artist. She's only released 3 albums that I'm aware of in her career, and she takes big breaks in between, so Adele could certainly win. The other leading contender, of course, Break My Soul, Beyonce. Beyonce's another event artist. not released a huge amount of albums over her career. More than Adele, but not a huge amount. Break My Soul was a monster hit last year, so that could certainly probably will win. Obviously, Bad Habit by Steve Lacy, I really like that song. It's a cool little sort of composition, if you'd like. I love the vibes from it. He seems a cool guy as well. That could win. Lizzo, About Damn Time. I personally have an aversion to this song and Lizzo herself, but it was a big hit. As it was, I don't mind Harry Styles, man. Look, I like to chat shit about Harry, but of all of the sort of One Direction crew, he seems the most sensible. He is a bit full of himself. He clearly loves himself. He's a bit of a whoremeister. Absolutely fine. He's clearly talented. The guy can play the piano, he can play the guitar, and he can sing. And he's got a very tight band. And he's got a great drummer. I think it's a female drummer. Brilliant, brilliant drummer. As it was, love him or hate him, that is an incredible pop song. And it was massive last year. But for me, it's probably Beyonce that's going to win. Break My Soul's winning record of the year. Because it's fucking Beyonce, isn't it? She's sort of queen of pop music. Although that apparently is an electronic music, which I'll get into in a moment. Album of the year, again, Voyage by ABBA. Didn't even know it fucking happened. So I'm sure it was big for some people, but it ain't going to win Album of the Year. Again, 30, Adele. I think she released 19, 25, or 21, 25. I think it was 19, 25 and 30. So it's like a 6-year break and a 5-year break. Actually longer, because she wasn't 30 when that released. She's my age. I think she's a year older than me, actually. So she's a little bit older. There's big gaps in her releases. She could win Album of the Year, for sure. Renaissance, I think Beyonce again's the favourite, because it's Beyonce. And again, you get down here, and Coldplay album was alright. It was a muchness of a muchness. We spoke about them last night. Really generic, sort of manufactured sound coming from Coldplay these days. They need to get back to their roots, get their shit together. Kendrick Lamar's a huge act. I don't really listen to a lot of his stuff, to be honest with you, but when he releases an album, I presume it's in contention. Lizzo, again, people love her. I don't understand it personally. I think she's a fucking cretin. But a huge album. Harry's House, again, look, I've listened to a couple of songs off of this. I listened to Radio 1. It's impossible not to fucking hear them. I think it's Late Night Talking, As It Was, the Squid, the Sushi one. Really different sounds, you know, and he seems to be experimenting as he gets older. The guy's in his late 20s, same generation as me. Seems to be experimenting. I can't even speak. Experimenting. Nearly broke my brain saying experimenting. Maturing. But for me, it's going to be Beyonce again, isn't it? It has to be. It wins that one. Song of the year. I mean, A, B, C, D, E, F, U, another big hit. It's not going to win though, is it? About Damn Time, another big hit. I fucking hate Lizzo. Sorry, I just do. I can't. She's just something about her. Sonics of her voice winding me up. I'm not having her. She could win. I think this is actually the writing team. This is the songwriters. It could win. As it was against Harry Styles, the writing team, Tyler Johnson, Kid Harpoon and Harry Styles. Massive, massive hit could win. Bad Habit could win. Break My Soul. Again, I'm going to say, I can't keep saying fucking Beyonce's going to win every one of these. I'm going to give this one to Adele, easy on me. I personally wasn't as enamoured by that Adele song. I think she's done a lot better songs over her career. It was alright, it was everywhere. I mean, I'm going to go As It Was, fuck it. That's my prediction for that. Beyonce's not winning everything, she isn't. She can't. Best new artist for me, I don't know any of most of these. I do know Omar Apollo. There was one song he released that I actually quite liked. It may have been Evergreen. It came out, I heard it on the radio. A beautiful song. Evergreen it was, yeah. You Didn't Deserve Me, I think. Beautifully constructed song. Haunting sort of backing vocals. Lovely little arpeggiated guitar. Cracking voice the guy's got. That was a great song. I've only heard one song though. But he must spend me a shout just for that alone. Wet Leg are a huge band. Came from the Isle of Wight, I believe. Arrived on the scene in the last year or so. Shays Long, songs like that. I think Wet Dream is another one. They'll probably win that because they've just exploded onto the scene. They're touring all over the place, seem to be getting a good response all over the place. They'll probably win that one, I would have thought. That's my prediction for that. Best pop solo performance, I mean, for me, again, it could be any of them really, couldn't it? Woman by Doja Cat was a huge hit. Bad Habit was a huge hit. About Damn Time, huge hit, As It Was. I'm going to give Adele that one. Fuck it, that's my prediction, Adele. I don't know why I did this. This is boring as hell, but I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it anyway. Screw it, I've committed now. I'm going to do it. I don't know any of them. Don't care about any of them. Unholy Sam Smith. Is that that? I mean, I suppose. I don't know. I'm going to skip that one. Best traditional vocal album. Again, I mean, Boobly's in there. I'm skipping that one. I don't care about that. Norah Jones, she's still out. Fuck me. Thought she disappeared 20 years ago. Best pop vocal album. Again, I'll probably go Adele there. Could be Harry Styles though. Could be Lizzo. I don't know. I'll go Adele. Because she's huge. I'll change my mind. I'll go Harry Styles. Screw it. Or Adele. That's my prediction. I can't pick between the two. This was the one that confused me. Best dance electronic recording. Break My Soul. It's electronic themes. But it's not an electronic dance song for me. Where the hell is Baddest of Them All in this list? That was a huge dance hit from the summer of 22. Massive, it was everywhere. Where is that? Why is that not in this list? Strange to me. I think there was a Doja Cat and Tiesto or something one came out as well. Why is that not there? I don't know, but Beyonce's going to win that. I love Bonobo incidentally. I think Bonobo, however you say that, I love him. Incredible electronic artist. Right up the sort of same avenue as the likes of 07. Just incredibly thick compositions. You listen to it with earphones, you hear new things every time you listen to it. What that guy does is stunning. I'd love to see him win, just because he's fucking amazing. But he ain't going, it's going to be Beyonce. Best dance electronic album, again, it's going to be Beyonce. Just is. Contemporary instrumental, no clue. Rock I'm going to skip because I don't listen to modern day rock music. It's shit. Beck's in there though, so I'm going to give it to Beck, because why not? He's the best of that punch, that's for sure. Bryan Adams. Beck. Just because I like Beck. Best rock song? Not got a fucking clue. Best rock album? Not got a clue. Elvis Costello? Well, yeah. Maybe. Machine, I fucking hate him. Alternate, Chaise Long probably wins this one, although again there's some really strange choices. I don't know if it's a timing thing, but you put the Better Be a Mirrorball by Arctic Monkeys in here. Where's Body Paint? It's the best song in that album. Body Paint, it's amazing. It's like a throwback to the 1960s, 70s sounds. It's inspiration from the Beatles, from Elton John, from David Bowie. It's an amazing song. I listened to that on a loop when it came out. 30 times a day. Loved it. That's not there. The Better Be a Mirrorball's alright as well, but Body Paint's better, and it's not there. Not a huge fan of Florence and the Machine. Probably Chaise Long. Massive song last year. Really different. But in terms of construct, a lot more simplistic than the Arctic Monkeys song. But I'll go Chaise Long. That's my prediction for that. I can't even speak. My voice is going. Best alternative music, Wet Leg's going to win that, I reckon. Again, they were huge in the last calendar year. Wet Leg. And then we're getting into sort of regions where I'm not amazing, to be honest with you. Probably Beyonce again. You look here, and I'm going to fling it to Gemini Rights by Steve Lacy. I think Steve Lacy's class. Really cool dude. What he does with his music's outstanding as well, really different. So I like him, so I'm going to pick him. But yeah, it says it was going to be brief. It wasn't brief. It went on for about 10 minutes. Just really want to sort of tick off the music thing we do in the shows now. And I've done it. Gave my brief predictions on the Grammys. I'll not even watch them. Realistically, I think they snubbed The Weeknd last year. So they've lost, so I don't know, integrity in my mind as an award show. When The Weeknd was so massive in 2021 with all those incredible songs. But what was the one that Bright? Oh God, the one with the light, something lights. I don't know the name, but I know the song. It was everywhere. Just an amazing album he put out. What was the other one I loved by him? The Weeknd. Save Your Tears for Another Day. Fucking amazing song. Brilliant artist. He wasn't even nominated at the Grammys last year, so they've lost their integrity for me. A bit shit. But I gave my predictions anyway. I'm moving on to the final topic. final topic is about games, video games. This is another thing we like to do. It's about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Delayed, I've said, by a month. I put this in just because I was laughing when I searched up video game news. And I clicked on this and it was comicbook.com and they were all serious about this video game getting delayed. I looked at the dates and I realised very quickly it's like a fucking month. It was originally said to be coming out March 23. Now it's coming out April 28th, 2023. It's a month of a delay. What the fuck, man? 1 month. It's nothing. What are we doing here? I just thought I'd use this as a little excuse to talk about this game because I'm really excited for it. I love Fallen Order. One of the best Star Wars games ever. For me, the story was great. Your main character was great. The little droid sidekick was great. The way it sort of led into the whole Order 66 sort of Vader stuff. I'm pretty sure it did. It's been a while since I've played it. A long time. An eternity for me when it comes to video games. But just the mechanics were fantastic. Obviously ripping off the likes of Dark Souls and stuff like that, where it's not instant leveling. I can't even speak tonight. Leveling. It's not instant enemies. You go to an area, they become the same level as you. You could go somewhere and get absolutely what was the word I like to use? Molligated by an enemy who's way too strong for you. You're not ready for it. You can go away, come back, and just open a can of whoop-ass to quote Dwayne Johnson or The Rock. So it was sort of inspired by a multitude of different games, Assassin's Creed games, the Dark Souls games. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was a high point for Star Wars video games. Something we hadn't seen in probably about 20 years, realistically. Maybe more, when you were getting the likes of Jedi Academy back in the mid-90s. That was when Star Wars was really great. In terms of video games, you get the Battlefront games that came out in the early 2000s. They were great, but it didn't have much of a story. So for me, this was a high point. When I found out they were doing a sequel to it, certainly a spiritual sequel, if it's not an out-and-out sequel, it is a sequel. It's the same fucking character. It's the same sort of title in Star Wars Jedi. It's a sequel. Respawn Entertainment Electronic Arts, a company I'm not overly enamoured with at times because of their practices, the way they try to introduce loot boxes and gambling to younger kids. I think it's fucking vile, to be frank, and they need to cut it out. Pay to win and stuff like that in certain games. Not a huge fan of that developer, and just the way they act in general. Sort of sports games like Madden and FIFA, it's just like a lick of painting. Some very minimal mechanic updates, and they expect you to pay full price for it. But then I'm a fool, because I say I don't really like them, and I pay £15 a month for EA Play Plus, I think it is. So I give them my money every fucking month. So yeah, and I'm going to be looking forward to this PGA game that's coming out. So I'm not one to talk, I'm a fucking hypocrite. But needless to say, them and Respawn, they made the game, they're making this game. And it's been delayed. There was a statement released. I am never going to be able to read that from this screen, so I'm going to have to bring it back up here, and hopefully I'll be able to read that. I cannot read it, so I'm going to look over here where I can read it. For the last 3 years, the Jedi team here at Respawn has poured its collection heart and its collection, I can't read it, its collective heart and soul into Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and we are proud to say the next chapter in the tale of Cal Kestis is content complete. That didn't make much sense to me when I was reading that. I'm like, that can't possibly be what that word says, but it fucking is. Content complete. We are now focused entirely on the final stage, bug fixes to enhance performance stability, polish, and most importantly, the player experience. Jedi Survivor is a direct response to the feedback from our community, delivering expansive destinations to explore, evolved combat, and traversal. Traversal, is that what that says? Yes, and of course, where are we? The continuation of Cal and BD's story. Fucking hell, I'm having to look between screens. It's so small. It feels like an eye test. It's like the last line in an eye test. It's so unbelievably small on the screen for some reason. I'm wearing glasses to stop with the glare from the screen, but there's a prescription in it for distance, and it makes the fucking writing smaller. It is sharper, but it's smaller, and it's a fucking pain in the arse. BD's story. Making this game has truly made us a better team, and we have pushed ourselves at every level to make the Star Wars sequel our fans expect from Respawn and Lucasfilm Games. In order for the team to hit the Respawn quality bar, provide the team... Fuck, I'm just going to read it over here. Provide the team the time they need... Simon makes it quiet. Provide the team the time we need and achieve the level of polish your fans deserve. We have added 6 crucial weeks to our release schedule. Star Wars Jedi Survivor will now launch globally on April 28th. Thanks to EA and Respawn for giving us the time to deliver the best experience for our players, and to all of you for understanding. May the Force be with you. Yeah, it's a nothing story. You give them the time they need to add that extra lick of polish, to add that extra level of playability, to make sure it's not an absolute horror show when it drops. We've seen this before. There was a dystopian video game that came out set in a future city. I'm trying to remember the name of the game. I'm blanking on it. Cyberpunk, I think it was. It came out. It was a disaster. It took months and months and months and months and months to sort out all the bugs. It was unplayable for some players. I remember watching streamers, Twitch streamers playing it, and it was a shambles. These guys had behemoth gaming PCs, couldn't get it to run for shit. That's what happens when you rush something out, and even then they didn't even rush it out. It was like 10 years in the making, that game. So just taking that extra little bit of time, 6 weeks, to make sure everything is right as rain, and that the game is the best possible version it can be, that's completely acceptable. That's an acceptable reason to delay. I'm excited for the video game, man. I'll get it day one because I've got EA Play Pro. And that was the name of the fucking thing, incidentally. I think I said EA Play Plus. Taja that I'm. EA Play Pro, I've got that, so I'll get it. It's part of my subscription. Day one, if not early. Really looking forward to the game, man. Really looking forward to being immersed in a Star Wars video game again. It's a great year for me for gaming. You've got Hogwarts Legacy coming out in a number of, 10 days? You've got this Star Wars game coming out a couple of months away. Great time to be alive as a gamer. And obviously, I've got my staple, which is Dead by Daylight. Just ticking along in the background. Like an old friend. A nice pair of worn-in slippers that you can slip into. It's always there for me to just go and terrorise the living hell out of another killer in the game. And that's what I do. I'm meant to be a survivor in it, run. And I make the killers run. I fucking bully them, man. I terrorise them. And that's, I'm joking when I say I bully them. You can't bully the killer in the game. Just in case anyone gets the wrong end of a stick and tries to complain again. And try and get us another community strike that I appealed successfully, incidentally. So fuck you to whoever that was. Yeah, I've always got that staple. So it's a good year for video games for me. Really looking forward to this. Looking forward to seeing how they've improved upon an already brilliant game. How they've improved the mechanics, the fighting system, the combat system, if you'd like. Improved the sort of interactivity. Just all the more over the original game, which, again, I repeat, was excellent. A gold standard video game. Really excited for it, but look, man, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to round it up. This has been a fucking epic. An hour and 9 minutes. It seems like every show we do is well over an hour these days. I'm on my lonesome. There's been one fucking comment in this whole show. And it didn't make any fucking sense to me. So for me to talk for an hour and 9 minutes on my lonesome, it's fucking something tremendous. I think about 25 minutes of that was spent trying to traverse the minefield that is pronouns with Ezra Miller. Fuck you, Ezra. Why can't you just, use another pronoun? They, there. It's impossible not to trip over that. A nightmare. I'm about to change my mind on you coming back as Flash just for that alone, my friend. But look, man, what's your thoughts on the topics I touched on? What do you make about James Gunn's unveiling of 10 DC projects with Peter Safran? They are unveiling a new era of DC storytelling, new characters on different scales. TV, mediums, everything, they're doing the full shebang. What's your thoughts on it? Share your thoughts down below if you get anything to say about that. Share your thoughts on Ezra Miller. Should he return as the Flash? Will he return as the Flash? Is the Flash, as James Gunn said, get the potential to be one of the greatest superhero movies of all time? Share your thoughts about that down below. Your thoughts on Willem Dafoe joining Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. I've made another name up. Film. Thoughts on the Grammys 2023. Who do you think will win? What was your favourite song in terms of pop and all of that from last year? Maybe share your thoughts on that. And finally, Star Wars Jedi Survivor being delayed 6 weeks. Are you excited for that game? What's your thoughts on the delay? Has it burst your bubble? Are you crying into your enormous pill tonight like that huge-headed fellow? That's what I'm going to use. From So I Married an Axe Murderer, who was getting tormented horrifically by Mike Myers. Not Michael. Michael Myers torments everybody. Anything you feel compelled to share can go down below in the comment section. That's the place to share your thoughts. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyeballs. And the same thing over on Twitch. Follow button, notifications button over there to see us do our thing over there. My thing over there in this case, because it's a solo show. All that is left to say though is thank you for watching. If you have watched, there's been people coming in and out. Thank you for that, and until the next time, I am done.